First thing. Now, this first point, to be honest, it's very rare. It's very rare. If I've been to 10 houses, hey guys, welcome to Asher and Gad channel, making Africa home again, one family at a time. I've inspected many homes where generators were installed with good intentions, but the wiring was inadequate and in some rare cases dangerous. Okay, some of these mistakes can destroy appliances, electrocute occupants, or even burn parts of the house. In this video, I'll walk you through the most common generator wiring mistakes that I've seen, explain why they're dangerous or inadequate, and show you what the correct installation should look like. First thing. Now, this first point, to be honest, it's very rare. It's very rare. If I've been to 10 houses, right, I've only seen this once. So this is very, very, very rare. If this happens, then to be honest, you probably need to get rid of your electrician. What I'm about to say now. No proper changeover switch. The number one mistake, or the number one fundamental connection when it comes to generators, is to install a proper changeover switch. Okay, like I said, I've only seen it once in the past 4 years, so this is not a common thing. Yeah, I've seen it once where this particular electrician, I don't know what they were doing, trying to save money or whatever, experiment, whatever. They were using makeshift plugs and jumper cables and all sorts of manual reconnections to change over from the ECU to the generator. Yes, and it can work, but it's dangerous. It can work, but it is dangerous, especially for the homeowner who may not even be that skilled to do it later on. Okay? Why is it dangerous? The power from the generator can backfeed into the grid. And if somebody is working on the pole or wherever on the ECG system, that person can be electrocuted because you are backfeeding from your generator onto the grid. Very dangerous. Even if they're isolated from their end, they are unaware that power is coming back the other way. Very, very, very dangerous. Your generator can explode when the mains power returns, if not done correctly. The mains and the generator must never be connected together, must never energize simultaneously. It is very, very, very dangerous. The generator can explode, and that becomes not just a safety issue of the generator, that becomes a life issue. Because if you're there, then you'll be going to meet your ancestors. So what is the correct practice? The correct practice is to install a manual or automatic changeover switch. Now in Ghana, they like to use the term changeover switch a lot, which is fine, is correct. But if you hear manual transfer switch or automatic transfer switch, it is the same thing. You transfer from one source of power to another source of power safely. The generator and the utility are interlocked via this changeover switch or transfer switch so that they never energize simultaneously. Even if they're both on, the switch is either at the generator position or at the mains ECG position. The switch can never allow both to touch each other. That is the safety interlock mechanism of a transfer switch. Now, clients ask me, should I install a manual transfer switch or an automatic transfer switch? That is entirely up to you. Both work and both are safe. Automatic is wonderful. I love automatic because you get busy in life, family, whatever. Automatic is great. ECG mains fails, and after 5-10 seconds, everything happens automatically. Generator starts, 20 seconds or so, generator starts up, and then automatically the power comes back. Wonderful. It's convenient, but you pay for that convenience. If it's manual, main ECG fails, then you have to manually go into your electrical power room or wherever the changeover is, and then do the changeover, okay? Which obviously is not convenient. Obviously, there'll be some members of your household who will feel not comfortable doing that manual changeover switch, even though it's safe. Electricity is intimidating, right? It's because it's safety. So not everybody feels comfortable to do that manual switch thing. In terms of the cost difference, if we talk about 100 amp manual changeover switch, it's probably about 1,500 cedis. between 1,500 cities and then 2,000 cities, depending on the brand. Okay, if we talk about an automatic changeover switch, that uses contactors. The last time I bought one in Ghana from for a client, I think it was around Tema, it was about 100. It was around about 10,000 cities. 10,000 cities, a fully complete automated unit, 10,000 cities. So that's 5 times the cost. So it depends on how many you have in your design, but that's 5 times the cost, but you're paying for convenience. And convenience is great. Generator neutral bonded incorrectly. Many generators come with neutral bonded to earth internally. Many generators come with their neutral already bonded to earth internally. Okay, if you connect this to a house where neutral is already bonded, you are creating multiple earth paths. Now, what happens in this scenario is that you can get a lot of nuisance tripping, breakers tripping when they're not supposed to trip. You get floating voltages. You get electric shock risk on metallic parts. Okay, now this is the correct practice. You have to decide on one neutral earth bond point only. Confirm the generator configuration before installation. Typically in Ghana, this should not be an issue unless the electrician is not experienced and has done something wrong, because typically in Ghana, the ECG is a TT system. Okay, so the neutral within the distribution board after the meter, okay, would not be connected to earth, should not be connected to earth. The neutral in the distribution board should not be connected to earth. So it shouldn't be a problem if when you are on generator supply, that generator neutral is connected to earth internally. It shouldn't be a problem unless the electrician has made a mistake. But I'm just raising this as an awareness. Sometimes you got undersized generator cables. Just like I covered in the previous video, you can have undersized cables from ECG. So sometimes that happens as well. Electrician has installed cables that's far too small. You know what the consequences are: overheating, voltage drop, cable insulation failure, fire risk. What's the correct practice? The correct practice is to size the cables based on the kVA rating, the current, the length, the installation method of the cables from the generator. It's never guesswork, it's a calculation. Okay, it is a calculation. If you don't know how to do it, contact somebody who does. No earthing or fake earthing. Some generators are installed with no earth rod at all, or worse, a fake one. Why this is dangerous? Fault currents have nowhere to go. Metallic frames can become live, electric shock to people. The RCD may not trip. What is the correct practice? You must have a dedicated earth electrode for the generator. Okay? Then also have proper earth continuity back to the main earthing system. So when I was talking about in my previous video about integrated earthing, foundational earthing, if you haven't watched that, click up here. You would take an earth tail from that foundational earthing to the generator earth rod or to the generator earth connection point. So the generator has its own independent earth connection. That is what is the best practice. Generator connected directly to the consumer unit or the distribution board. This one happens sometimes, can be risky, is where the generators are tied straight into the main distribution board with no isolation logic. That can cause a problem of overloading, no selective protection. I've covered this already. Generator must always go through a proper changeover switch and protection before it connects to the main distribution board. Okay?
Are you looking to build your dream home in Ghana? Or are you building already? Would you benefit from regular site visits to monitor your building and receive regular progress reports? Well, if that's the case, and that's you, look no further. Asher and Gad Consultancy at your service. We offer the following services: electrical design, construction monitoring inspections, site progress reports, consultation for all items MEP, witnessing of testing and commissioning, periodic snagging, vetting of specialist subcontractors. We also report site activities to you to hopefully help you spend your money efficiently and much, much more. Get in contact for your building needs. Details on the screen. Asher and Gad Consultancy, making Africa home again, one family at a time.
AVR protection. So AVR and protection devices ignored. Sometimes, these electricians, sometimes they focus on the KVA size, but they ignore the AVR health, they ignore the surge protection, they ignore the over voltage control. To be honest with you, a generator already has its own internal AVR. So depending on how you're doing the wiring, the AVR really for the house only needs to be installed on the ECG line. It only needs to be installed on the ECG circuit. The generator itself, if you buy a quality generator, that is, quality one, will already have its internal AVR. Okay, but sometimes you see, burnt fridges, dead TVs, failed inverters. Okay, another one. Again, if in this life, if you don't know, you don't know. A client asked me, can they install their generator inside their house? Oh, come on. That's like saying, can I park my car inside the house so that when I start it, all the carbon monoxide, all the fumes come into the house? Okay, that's a basic question, but that's fine. They are not in the field. You cannot install a generator inside a house. Poor location is important. The routing of the exhaust is important. That isn't wiring even. That's a life safety issue. Generators, I would not even recommend that you install a generator inside a garage. Don't install a generator inside a garage. A common mistake is the generator exhaust is facing the window. Make sure the generator exhaust is not facing the window, because that means it will exhaust into the home. Common mistake is that there's no ventilation. What is the risk? Carbon monoxide poisoning. Remember, carbon monoxide, you can't see it. I think it's odorless as well. You can't smell it. It's a slow poison. And that is even as a home, you're supposed to have a carbon monoxide detector. Not just for the generator, but also for your gas. As usual, another problem, no commissioning or load test. When you buy a generator, you're supposed to test it against your building. Put on all the air conditioning, or as many as possible based on the size of the generator. Put on the loads in the house. Test the generator. Fill it with fuel. Test it. Let's see if it can handle the load of the building. Many installations are never tested. What is skipped? The load testing is skipped. The voltage stability checks are skipped. The earthing verification is skipped. The correct practice is full commissioning before handover. You want to make sure the system is tested. You want to make sure that the generator that you spent thousands and thousands of cedis or dollars to buy is working correctly, especially whilst you're still under warranty. Some issues may be that of the generator, some issues may be that of your electrical system. And the test will verify either way. Generators are not plug and play appliances, okay? Most generator disasters, okay, that happen are not equipment failures per se, they are installation failures. It's rare for a generator to be bought from a reputable source to fail. It's rare. Normally the failure is around the installation. So if it wasn't professionally designed, installed, tested and commissioned, it's a risk, not a backup. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. As usual, like, share, subscribe, hype the video. From God is Chemist here. From me, guys, Ibeshia. See you next time.